dismayed by the fact by large numbers of Americans who believe that the department is a cesspool of corruption.
Listen, you've got countless people who need to be removed, that there needs to be change. I'm completely for that. Lisa Monaco, a Deputy Attorney General, she has been a roadblock for countless FBI investigations. So she is somebody who needs to be removed and replaced.
Joe's just getting the news. They took a photo. What? Without me? He got out of bed for that? Oh, man. The FBI and the DOJ running scared. They are rounding up lawyers, defense attorneys, to help them prepare themselves for the repercussions that are coming via President Trump, Matt Gaetz, and an actual justice system that is going to get to the bottom of the conspiracy to prosecute a political opponent, namely Trump. Now, NBC News is reporting that they are getting prepped up. Here's the report saying multiple current and former senior Justice Department and FBI officials are reaching out to attorneys in anticipation of being criminally investigated by President Trump. This is according to 3 people with knowledge familiar with their deliberations, and they're having a meltdown on it on CNN, and there's more reaction to this. What happens when Matt Gaetz comes into power? They say following Trump's decisive election victory, many Justice Department officials and staffers were already nervous about the possibility that they're going to be targeted by Trump loyalists. Why would they be targeted? Did they do anything wrong? Did they break the law? Remember, the lecture is that no one's above the law. They've been saying that to us for years, even though they manufactured charges against Trump that have been summarily dismissed in many instances. Not summarily, but quite a long time, and now it's dismissed. Everything we did was above board, said FBI official, who started contacting lawyers. Yeah, right. But this is a different world when you guys aren't in charge of your political prosecutions. Now true justice is back. The official who spoke on condition of anonymity out of fear of becoming even more of a target, who is it? Don't be a weenie, doesn't believe any attempt to prosecute him will be successful. Judges and juries have the power to throw out cases or find defendants innocent if they deem prosecutions to be baseless. But like many other current and former Justice Department officials, he's bracing for a potentially long and costly legal battle, as well as protracted congressional investigations after Trump takes office. Career FBI employees are especially vulnerable, he said, since they make less money. They would be in the private sector. They rely on pensions they get after 20 years. Oh gosh. Agents have to do 20 years. These people don't have options. They're gonna have a lot less now. A former senior Justice Department official who served during Trump's first term said he too saw Gaetz's nomination as a sign of the seriousness of Trump's vow to exact revenge on those who investigated him. It's not revenge, my friends. No, no, no. Yours wasn't revenge, right? As you said, you weren't enacting political revenge. No, the Justice Department are all good people, no matter what. So as long as they have the Justice Department stamped on their forehead, they can do whatever they want, and you can't question them. That was the rule that you morons established when you said even Merrick Garland couldn't be prosecuted. Gaetz, who was the subject of a federal trafficking investigation, ended without charges. Why did they prosecute Gaetz? Why can they keep bringing this up endlessly? Ethics, 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 ethics. Nobody prosecuted him. How much can one person be smeared without consequence? We have a presumption of innocence in this country, and he's no longer subject to the jurisdiction of the Ethics Committee, which is a political body in the Congress, and the DOJ investigated it, and he was not charged. Now, Trump and his supporters have consistently argued that all of the investigations have been politically motivated, and they were, obviously. Weeks before the election, Stephen Chung called for all state charges to be dropped, saying the entire case is sham and a witch hunt. Legal experts are not very much experts at all, and they're shocked inside the DOJ. Justice Department officials, including Garland, were shocked by Trump's decisive win. They're like, wait, nobody is exactly like us in the DC bubble? For the last 4 years, Garland has argued that strictly following post-Watergate norms requires the Justice Department to work in a nonpartisan manner to restore public trust. And Garland came out and had to do a pep talk on this. It was one of the more pathetic things we've ever seen, which we'll get to. Instead, some career DOJ officials wept. They cried like little babies after the election, dismayed by the fact by large numbers of Americans who believe that the department is a cesspool of corruption. They were crying in each other's arms there at the DOJ. They don't like us. They think we're corrupt. We are corrupt. I know, but they know it now. It's okay. Molly and Jay Bratt, Molly with her highlighters sobbing, Jay Bratt's wiping her tears off. It's like in multicolor highlights. Cry harder. Justice Department and FBI officials say that the Trump investigations were carried out properly. Yeah, right. Justice Department prosecutors secured indictment from DC juries and corrupt judges named Beryl Howell against Trump for his mishandling of classified documents. Again, yeah, she did it in DC. And then they got search warrants there, which were highly problematic, and then they manipulated the evidence on scene. Nice. They expressed bafflement at what criminal charges could be brought. They said, there's no crime. What's the crime? Corruption, abuse of office, malicious prosecution, a deprivation of our rights. Mike Davis, a conservative lawyer and Trump ally, has argued that special counsel Jack Smith could be prosecuted for breaking the same laws that Trump did, right? As we speculate, a conspiracy against rights right there. The statute says it's illegal for anyone to deny a person a federal right like voting, saying that Trump's attempt to reverse the 2020 election, and that was one of the charges in the J6 case, along with obstruction. It was obstruction, right? Obstruction of a federal proceeding. So charge him with that. Ilya Somin, a law professor at George Mason, said he did not see how Smith could be charged. I think it's absurd. I don't see any legitimate charge that can be brought against Smith. Well, you're just not being creative enough. Okay. Now, Somin warned that a prosecutor can investigate an individual over a long period, saying if Trump's attorney general appoints a special prosecutor to investigate that, they could find that a Justice Department or FBI official broke a federal law that doesn't even relate to the Trump probes. You're kidding. Like tax or drug infractions. He said, if you think about it, a majority of adult Americans have probably violated federal laws, like smoking marijuana at some point in their lives. And, for example, charged multiple Trump associates with unrelated crimes. Paul Manafort was convicted of tax and bank fraud. So get ready for it, DOJ punks. A special counsel appointed by Bill Barr, John Durham, also charged Sussman, who was then acquitted. I think he was acquitted, right? Spent thousands of dollars in legal fees, and so they're all hitting the panic button because they're criminals. No one's above the law. They just didn't think that they were going to get caught. They thought that this would be enough to rig the election, and then as long as Kamala won, they would be free and clear of any consequence. Same thing that Michael Sussman and the rest of the FBI thought after Trump. They made the same mistake that they thought after 2016. They do whatever they want. Hillary could allege Russia collusion, pulling it out of her booty, which is totally fraudulent and should be criminal for what she did. I mean, it was total fraud. And it was a scheme to manipulate the public at scale, and they all got away with it. All right, so here's this interchange on CNN, and you can see they're not happy about it. Here's a retired FBI special agent, Daniel Brunner, weighing in.
And joining us now to discuss is retired FBI special agent, Daniel Brunner. Daniel, thanks so much for being here with us. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Jessica.
And we just walked through this. Again, at this point, it is a hypothetical, but we do have reporting that this is a decision Trump is mulling over and seriously considering if he were to fire Christopher Wray when he takes office in January. In terms of the implications for the FBI, for the agency, its ability to carry out its mission, how impactful might that be?
It's really important to understand that the person who's leading the FBI, who is the director and then the deputy director, those are two very important positions. You're in charge of tens of thousands of employees, both special agents, analysts, everyone that is
not for long.
Enforcing the law,
not 10,000 for long,
that is on the books and supporting the Constitution of the United States. Putting someone like Kash Patel in the position of director of the FBI, I believe extremely, extremely dangerous, because you just alluded to that his resume isn't his traditional. There is nothing on his resume other than 3 years as a line U.S. attorney at the DOJ. He has no experience.
Line, I think he said, not a lying, but a line, right?
Leading an organization, no less a Cub Scout pack. To put him in front of the lead law enforcement agency in the United States, and some consider the world, to have him in charge of so many employees. And he has clearly stated that he wants to exact revenge upon those that have investigated President Trump and those investigated those that are around him. He will conduct a massive amount of damage to the interior of the FBI and employees who have put their names on certain documents because they were just working the case. There will be hundreds of employees who will be unjustly fired or have their security clearances removed only because he feels that it's something he needs to do. So I think he would be very, very dangerous, Beck.
And have you talked to any men and women that are still serving in the FBI? Are they concerned about that? You talk about his plans, maybe go and look and see who was on what document and purge, in his words, them from the FBI. Is there concern about that amongst the rank and file and then the people that make the FBI go?
Well, listen, I was a street agent for 20 years. I never became a supervisor, and I enjoyed working cases, investigations, and Latin organized crime for the FBI Newark. So I still have a lot of good friends of mine that are serving on the FBI on the front lines, special agents. Necessarily, not all of them are supervisors. So I talked to a lot of them on the streets, and they're concerned. They're concerned, obviously, of the appointment of Matt Gaetz as possible Attorney General. And they're, of course, concerned about Mr. Patel. Listen, you've got countless people who need to be removed, that there needs to be change. I'm completely for that. Lisa Monaco, a Deputy Attorney General, she has been a roadblock for countless FBI investigations. So she is somebody who needs to be removed and replaced. Putting good people, yet they can make the changes. I understand President Trump wants to make change, and a lot of people in this country gave the mandate to do that. I'm all for that. Dave Bowditch, Jeff Jensen, and John Durham, all good candidates who would come in and move forward a new organization.
John Durham? They want John Durham back in here? All right, so that's enough of that. We got Cernovich is out here talking about Trey Gowdy and how Trey Gowdy's been constantly ranting about Matt Gaetz. Here's an old clip from 2018.
You're talking about right now, was that strengthened when you went into this this briefing last week?
Yes, I am even more convinced that the FBI did exactly what my fellow citizens would want them to do when they got the information.
Yeah, so he's a big, Trey Gowdy's the guy who's constantly out there. Over the weekend, you saw a bunch of him saying Matt Gaetz is unqualified. So he's running his mouth for whatever reason. Mike Johnson was on the Sunday shows talking about the appointment process.
Would you take steps to put things into recess so those appointments could happen?
Listen, I believe in the principle of a new president being able to choose his team, and that used to not be a controversial notion. We're in a time of very divided government and a very partisan atmosphere in Washington. I wish it were not. I wish the Senate would simply do its job of advice and consent and allow the president to put the persons in his cabinet of his choosing. But if this thing bogs down, it would be a great detriment to the country, to the American people. Remember, they just delivered a mandate to the president, an overwhelming popular vote victory, and of course electoral college victory, and they have sent the message that America First policies should be the rule of the day. So the persons that the president is choosing will help with that agenda. They will take their leadership in these agencies and they will reform them as the people expect and demand. So we'll evaluate all that at the appropriate time and we'll make the appropriate decision. There may be a function for that, and we'll have to see how it plays out.
Okay.
Now, I saw some posts today about Mitch McConnell, the senator, outgoing Senate leader, that was hinting that he may not want to proceed with recess appointments, but then I saw a bunch of those claims removed rather rapidly. So haven't seen anything confirmed on that one way or another. Here's Amy Klobuchar, though. She's on with MSNBC. She is one of the senators. Let's see what she's saying out there on the cables.
Joining us now is Democratic Senator Amy Klobuchar of Minnesota. She's chair of the Senate Rules Committee.
Great.
He's now coming to mine.
Yeah, he's coming to yours. Is he going to bring his ethics committee report with him, or are you going to get that report?
I was pleasantly surprised after Senator Durbin and a number of us sent a very forceful letter saying we want this report. By the way, there's a history of release of these reports for both Republican senators, Democratic House members, that Senator Cornyn actually said he wanted to see it as well. And he's a significant person on the Judiciary Committee, Republican. So I think there is going to be widespread opposition to this candidate. I noticed that Lisa Murkowski, always been true to herself, has already said, I don't think it's a serious nomination. Conservative Senator Kramer of North Dakota said it's a long shot. My favorite might have been the conservative commentator Ben Domenech, who said that he's absolutely vile. I was listening to Jamie, and it is true. Like, this is constitutional integrity. This is the future of our government, but it's also going to matter to people in their everyday lives. They supervise 115,000 people, hardworking prosecutors.
Going to be a lot less than that once DOGE is done.
Their jobs. And when you look at the kind of work they do, protect people from scams, prosecute fentanyl dealers, this is real work.
What do you mean that Kamala let in? Yes, the poor lifetime bureaucrats at the DOJ and FBI. Yes, pour one out for them. We're all devastated that they're going to have to go get real jobs. Now, at the 11th Circuit Court of Appeals, this is the classified documents case. We were very curious to see Jack Smith running scared again like a not a real boy. He, of course, lost this case because they dismissed it because they said he was not lawfully appointed and he stole $50 million. She dismissed the classified documents case. Jack Smith appealed it to the 11th Circuit. There was something due earlier last week from Jack in the form of a briefing. Why do you think that you are a real boy? And what he submitted instead of that brief was an update saying something like, President Trump won this and this is unprecedented, even though he's been running for 2 years. He said that should be held in abeyance, basically. Put the whole appeal on pause pending DOJ decision. That was the latest. The Court of Appeals has now granted that request. You can see it says here, 11th Circuit, appeal from the District Court, Southern District of Florida. That was a classified documents case. Judge Eileen Cannon presiding. Says the appellant's motion to hold this appeal in abeyance, that's Jack Smith's request, and stay the deadline for the reply brief until December 2nd is granted, Jack. So that means everything's on pause for a couple more weeks. David Smith, clerk of the court, sending that out. So that classified documents case on hiatus for a bit further. Now, this is an interesting post. This came from Kyle Cheney over at Politico, updated his profile picture. Says a January 6th defendant's lawyer says he's spoken with a quote, a high member of the future Trump administration and a pardon is almost certain. Says, hey, similarly, this is coming in from Jeffrey G. Brown. So another J6er is hearing some good news about a pardon coming down the pike and submitting this into court, saying similarly, how is waiting 3 months an inefficient administration of justice? They're asking for continuances now because I think what we saw was Stephen Baker got a continuance and William Pope at Free State Will got his case a continuance of his trial because they're saying, why are we going to have trials in December and January if Trump's going to come in and pardon everybody? Seems kind of dumb to have a full trial if that's going to happen anyways. Like sitting through a useless event. Says the undersigned has spoken with a high member of the future future Trump administration and the future pardon of Thomas Osborne is almost a certainty. Heck yeah, baby. The undersigned has no problem traveling from Tampa, Florida to the district to spend an entire week participating in what some may view as an exercise in futility. I mean, if you want us to come there to trial, we can. We'll come. The question remains if this court is inclined to expend a significant amount of taxpayers' money, the court's time, valuable juror time, and court staff time to allow the government to get a conviction of Thomas Osborne, which will ultimately, after January 20th, be vacated or be pardoned. Either way, but if you want to go just sit here and drag everybody through this, we're happy to come down. It seems the just option, what we should do, is just to wait 3 months, that's all. Just allow the people's president, capitalized, to follow through on his promises. Wherefore, based on the foregoing, we request the court grant the relief herein. Sincerely yours, Jeffrey G. Brown, defense attorney for Thomas Osborne. Good news on that. So I don't know who Thomas Osborne or who Jeffrey Brown, his attorney, spoke to in the Trump administration, but those pardons look like they're coming, and they couldn't come a moment too soon. So here, rounding all of this out, the person who's currently in charge of the federal government, Joe Biden, is now being ignored on the world stage. So this is why we need President Trump in office immediately. Can't come quickly enough. Here's what it looked like. Joe Biden flew down to the Amazon, gave a press release, and then disappeared into the banana trees with that girl from Gilligan's Island. And then he was supposed to show up for a photo op the next day, but he must still be there. Here's what it looked like, and listen to the announcers once they realize that old Joe is not going to be there. Oh, photo's over.
Where was he? They're telling Biden. They're telling him to wait for Biden, guys.
Wait for Biden.
Oh my God. Do you see him to far left? To the left of the palm tree. Oh my God. Yep. He's right there. Trudeau and Malone.
There he is. Where's Waldo? Found him.
Sorry, thank you.
No problem.
I can't believe it.
Yeah.
Listen, I can't believe they took it.
Eu não consigo filmar. Mudou de ideia, vai para o outro lado. Ele está pronto, né?
I see you guys.
Joe's just getting the news. They took the photo. What? Without me? He got out of bed for that? Oh, man. So that's our incompetent government. And I don't know what happened on this. I mean, here's the report from The Intercept. What a joke. No show. Joe Biden leaders take group photo without Joe. The president arrived for a photograph with other world leaders, but they had gone ahead without him. Oh, that is not going to happen next year. All right? Not going to happen again. So just be aware. G20. Joe Biden headed for a photo only to find they'd already taken the picture without him. Frustrated officials, U.S. officials, blamed, quote, logistical issues for the blunder, which had meant that Biden missed out on the shot, along with the Canadian and Italian prime ministers. Okay, so maybe they all three got left out. They better put Trump front and center, man. They better put him on a friggin' pedestal. It came during a South American tour during which Biden's counterparts have been looking past the outgoing president. Biden's swan song on the stage was to take a picture with everybody. Everybody else took their photo. It's interesting, okay? Not Canada, not the US. They didn't care. And the Italians, my people. They took to a stage, chatted and joked. They gathered in Sugarloaf Mountain in Brazil. There's the three of them. Georgia Maloney also missed the picture. Due to logistical issues, they took the photo early before all the leaders had arrived. You think they're taking a photograph if Trump's not in the photo next time? Yeah, right. So a number of leaders weren't actually there. US officials denied that Biden missed the photo officially for the launch of this. They said, well, he was in a different photo. Vladimir was not there in Rio. So what is this crap? Look at this crap from The Guardian. How The Guardian will stand up to 4 more years of Donald Trump. All right, so just we're reading from them right now, but never give them your traffic, okay? I'll pull up the stories from them so that you don't have to, okay? We'll do it here. I'll do the dirty work of reading their garbage stories. That's what's happening over there. And the New York Times is also developing a resistance. There's apparently huge swaths of people that are now going to form this new anti-Trump coalition, whatever that looks like. Apparently The Intercept is involved. Groups that use lawsuits and protests to stymie the first administration are going to face longer odds this time. The courts are more conservative and patrons are dejected. Democrats are just giving up left and right. Here's this guy. His name is Anthony D. Romero. He says, Trump's got to get past all of us. He wrote on their website. He said, Trump's bigotry and misogyny, anti-climate and anti-wildlife zealotry all will be defeated. Trump is anti-wildlife? He is? The bravado masks uncertainty. This time could be a lot harder, though. Nonprofits are finding some supporters are not energized for another round of resistance. They're like, man, he already beat the crap out of us, okay? They can't take it anymore. Good. That's what happens when you've been defeated. Go try something else. Instead, they have been left exhausted, wondering whether their donations made any difference at all. And actually, they did. The response from donors has been shock, anger, depression, sprinkled in with a few checks. It's not been a flood, and so they're not getting any money. They have no energy, and they should, because their policies have failed. Their lives will be better now that President Trump will be taking back the mantle, and so just hang tight, liberals. Trump's going to make America great again, even for you.